What's up guys, my name is Flats and this is Fuerte dressed as a purple rooster. So today I'm going to quickly go over the Omega changes that have been made to Fuerte, and yeah, we'll see if we can get up to some dirty shenanigans. So first up, he has a new target combo. It's close standing medium kick into heavy kick, and it looks like this. And it is also special cancelable, so if you want to cancel into, a leg throw or even a dash, do some crazy stuff, you can. So that's nice. I'll quickly go over his existing moves and any changes that they may have had. So first up we have his Habanero dash. As far as I can tell, the dash itself, the forward and the back, are unchanged. However, if you look at the Tostada press and the Fajita Buster, you'll notice that they're much more floaty. Like, they travel way further than they used to, which is pretty cool because you can hit from almost full screen with these now. So that's nice. So yeah, nice little change there with the floaty attacks from the forward row. The EX Habanero dash has had some significant changes, but I'm going to get into that last. Okay, what else? The Calamari slide. So this is much faster now. And it also, if I just put him, I think he's still going to be throwing a fireball. Yes, he is. Okay, if I, his slide will now go under fireballs, which is awesome. Not only that, but from your normal bread and butter string, you can combo into slide now, which is always nice, although it doesn't really matter because in Omega mode you can quick rise off of anything but an Ultra, I believe, so there are no hard knockdowns from sweep, but it's still, it's kind of nice to be able to combo into that from your normal bread and butter. The Quesadilla bombs, so these are more similar to what they were like in AE, so they seem to, they do less damage. They seem to charge a little bit faster, but that might be imagination, and they move slower. So, for example, if you can't do that anymore, so that works in Ultra, but in this they don't connect. Also, the EX version, if I turn counter hit on, so this definitely charges faster, but that no longer gives a wall bounce on counter hit. However, if I go to playback, he should still be throwing fireballs at me. It still has its projectile invincibility, so that's nice. So it is a nerf overall, but he has some new tools to make up for that nerf. Alright, so Guacamole Electro, these seem to be unchanged for the normals, so light, medium and heavy. I don't see any differences there. However, the EX has seen some significant changes, mostly in that it hits from the ground now, which is really cool. It also seems to have some pretty good invincibility on startup, especially if you do it from a reversal. From what I tested, I seem to beat out most of the meaty pressure after I got knocked down if I did it on reversal, so that's cool. It also is good for an anti-air. On certain angles of jump in, it'll have invincibility. If I do play back a five, so obviously this is impractical, you would never do this from back here, but it doesn't seem to have any fireball invincibility from back here. However, if I right up to him, I'll just blow straight through it. So that's pretty cool. It's also cancelable from ground normals, which is nice. So, yeah, that's handy, and also very cool. Okay, so let's get into some of his new moves. So the first one is called the Flying Nachos. This is quarter circle back with a kick, and depending on the strength of the kick you use will determine how far you go. This move does 80 damage. It is not an overhead, even though it looks like it would be. It has arm breaking properties, so it'll break focused attacks, and it is cancelable from ground normals, so that's pretty cool. It also will go over fireballs. Just set you to throw some fireballs at me. So that's kind of cool. The EX one will hit 3 times, and it has some invincibility, so I can actually go through fireballs with that one. You have to do it a bit early, like I can get counter hit out of it if I do it too late, but I'll blast straight through most things. Ah! Jesus. There we go. And yeah, so again, that's cancelable from ground normals. So next up we have the Enchilada Jump. This is quarter circle forward with kick, and again, depending on the strength of the kick used will determine how far you go. So this is just a super jump, and you can cancel any of your air normals from it. So, you know, go into a fierce or, you know, a roundhouse. The cool thing about this though is you can cancel into it from a ground normal. So you can do some more mix-up shenanigans if you're doing like an RSF loop. You can fail. You can do stuff like that. You can even do some crazy cross-ups with it using Fierce. I've switched to Ryu specifically to show this off because it doesn't work as well with Evil Ryu. Stuff like that. So, you know, that just adds more cross-up and mix-ups to his arsenal, which is fun. Oh, and the EX, right, so the EX one has a lot of invincibility, and you can control, just like his normal jumps and stuff. If you hold a direction, you can control the range that it goes. So if I'm holding backwards, it actually takes me back a bit, and if I hold forwards, it goes, and then if I just hold nothing, and you can even hold forward and then go backwards. And if I put the back to playback, so he's throwing some more fireballs, so there's a bunch of invincibility on this one too, which is cool. And you know, you can just so, bam, you know, stuff like that. What else? So I think that's all. That's just his new moves. Let's go into the EX Habanero forward dash, which I said I'd leave till last. So this has had a fair few significant changes. If I just restart this, the forward dash, that's this one. It only has 1 hit of armor now instead of 2. The back dash seems unchanged. That still has its 2 hits of armor, and everything from here is, you know, how it used to be, except for the floaty jumps, of course. But yeah, the forward dash, so you have some new options. So if you do light punch after a EX Habanero forward dash, you'll get this, which is called a Step al Pastor, and it'll take you through bodies, which is amazing. This is great. So rip charge characters. Let's see what else. With the light kick, you get an Enchilada Jump. It's not, you can't control the distance of this one or anything, and this is the normal light kick one. It takes you much higher, but the EX one will take you like right there. So I think, you know, that's because if you're doing that, you're gonna get put right there, right next to them. So I'm sure they have their reasons for that. What else? If you do a medium kick from the EX, you go straight into the new target combo. That's pretty cool. The slide seems to be the same, and the tostada press is unchanged. However, I think the biggest change is if you go into Fierce Punch, you do a fajita buster, but you do it standing. It's like a standing grab. Oops. And that's just really cool because you can do some crazy shenanigans like fail. From your little, if you're doing your little gammon block strings, you can do that. What I really like to do, so the tortilla in the corner, the light kick reset, seems to be so much easier now to do. It's still it doesn't work on everyone. It still works on the same characters it's always worked on. But oh man, I can just do it like almost every time. What that means is you can do that. Like you can reset them from the tortilla in the corner into a grab, which is, I think, just fantastic. So yeah, and because, you know, everyone is quick rising off everything, you can just run up and grab as well. So that is very cool. So that's, yeah, his EX Habanero dash. Like, yeah, some shenanigans you can do with this. Like that, you know, you can cross them up, you can just loot that if you want. Etc. You can even go, you know, into something like that. So there's lots of fun to be had with that. And then of course this, you know, you can mess around with that as well. And then this one, the EX into this target combo, you actually can, it's harder to do, but you can, I think I found from 3 RSF loops, you can get that without using the EX. But you know, if you're doing lots, it depends how far back you've been pushed. So even that one didn't connect, but so you leave it up to you whether you want to burn the meter to get that target combo, or if you're close enough you don't have to use the meter because you can just do a stop and then go straight into it. So leave that one up to you to decide on the situation and all that. What else? His Ultra. So Ultra 1 I'm pretty sure is unchanged. However, Ultra 2, I'll show you that real quick. If I just do Ultra 2. Did you notice just there when it hit, there was a hit spark? So what that means, it's no longer an instant grab, it's an actual hit, and that means that it can be blocked. Whoops. So it never used to be able to be blocked because it's a grab, but now it can. But what that means is it can be comboed into. So do that. Bam. That's a meterless, you know, combo into Ultra. That's, yeah, so that's just from the normal standing heavy kick. Unfortunately, as far as I can tell, you can't do it into that one unless you focus dash cancel. And you need to be pretty fast. I'm going to fail this again. I get it? Yeah, so you can do that for an extra 2 bars. Which I think is just, you know, more fun options, which is great. I think the only other thing is this, his jumping roundhouse. It's just neutral jumping roundhouse actually, is now the drop kick. So the forward jumping and back jumping roundhouse is still your butt splash. But yeah, the neutral jumping roundhouse is kind of like this, which, you know, I guess it's probably a better air-to-air move. I think, although I think the jumping fierce punch was an extremely good air-to-air move, but you know, it gives us more options, so I'm not going to complain. And yeah, I think that's it, guys. That's the El Fuerte changes. I guess if you think of anything else, just drop in the comments or whatever. Like I said, this is just a quick rundown of the last couple of hours of me just messing around in Omega mode. So, go play it, go have fun, and yeah, thanks for watching. Peace!